So we'll be on break next week, and we're switching gears into a new arc, probably, right? That would make sense. So if that's the reason why, unless it's just holiday break, which also could entirely be the case, I'd assume we're going to switch gears into a new arc. So if we were to do so, this episode has two directions to go. One-off stuff that we've kind of been having leading up to, whatever's going to end up happening, or two, the entirety of it is going to focus on setting things up that is going to put us in that direction of what's going to happen. I lean more towards one-off things, and then maybe at the end, like, trickle in a few things of like the direction that we are heading, or give us like a purpose or a goal, or like a, hey, we have to go do this now, and then we can start off whenever we come back and we resume with probably like a full arc of whatever's going to happen. That's the feeling that I'm getting, at least, but I don't know for certain, I guess, which one we're going to head. I wouldn't mind either, but I'm interested because not too many shows, I guess, take the entire episode route of actual build up towards what's going to happen. So I'd be more interested, I think, to see something like that, as opposed to just completely like normal stuff and then switching gears completely when we decide to go into new arc. I'd like build up to it. I think that would just be cool, because it's not something that I guess necessarily happens as often. If you like it all, the like and subscribe to mean a lot to me. Feel free to stick around for the discussion, leave any comments with this episode series. Let's go on though with episode 16. Forgot to mention Toho show gonna get blocked at some point. Check link in the description if there is no video on the YouTube for this and you just want to still watch the reaction. Fishing. Oh, signed backstory? More than we already had? The music. Like how he had to lean to him when he was walking, Too much in your thoughts. You gotta live a little bit more freely. You'll find them one day. Might not be in the form in which you hope, but probably the one you expect. Damn. That's what I've been wondering. Oh, damn. Vol.
死ぬ前にゆっくり話がしたくて、フリーレン様と昔の話ができるような人ってなかなかいませんからね。たまにはこんな寄り道があってもいいかもしれません。10年くらい滞在しちゃおう。
No, they don't have that.
1週間までですよ。
Really gotta soak it all in, one last time. Bro, look at them. Look at what they are showing us. And you expect me not to, want more focus on that. Like, It's also cool how she actually wants to go out and, like, seek these people and actually talk to them and see them again. Oh, alright.
まだボケたふり続けているの?
He got targeted.
戦闘での死因の多くは油断だ。簡単に致命傷を負う。
Never let your guard
わし
down.
が剣を抜いていたら足を失っていたぞ。
待ってフリーレン。歩けない。
Else you're on fall, dude.
ついでに稽古つけてもらう。
はい。
You got a little too much to learn, buddy.
たいから仕事紹介して。
Nope.
フリーレン様、1週間までですよ。
Hardly enough time to do anything. Oh my god, the efficiency. They've shown us this stuff before with like the watermelons and stuff, and the pumpkins. But I've never really thought about it when it comes to like everything.
あんなに楽しそうに話しているのは初めて見たよ。
猛
録したじいさんだ。普段は会話すらままならない。昔から村を魔物や魔族から守ってもらっているが、その理由もわからない。 守り神みたいなもんさ。
ずっと孤独だったんですね。
Yeah. I mean, you really got to put into perspective anyone or any type who kind of lives as long as they do. Can be a really sad thing. Holy shit. Bro can't get a break everywhere we go. He gets worked too hard. Well, she just sits back and does nothing. Looks like she's actually really enjoying
1
herself
週
though.
間はあっという間だね。
Mm.
シュタルクはどう？
人間は成長が早いな。そこそこ良くなった。
オルジーは私がヒンメルたちを知る機会を
Ah.
フォルジーはなんでこの村を守っているんだ？
昔の話だ。どうでもいいだろう、そんなこと。
人はどうでもいいことに命を懸けない。
妻の愛した村を守っているだけだ。
I respect that.
人間だった。
Mm.
わしは遠い昔に交わした約束を果たしているに過ぎん。顔も声も眼差しも伝わらん。
Damn.
これはわしだけの思い出だ。
Mm-hmm.
滑稽な話だろ
Nah.
う。わしはずっと死者との約束を守っている。
Nah, nah, nah.
そうだね。でもきっとその人は
Mm-hmm.
あなたが約束を守ってくれていることを嬉しく思っている。
不安な時代が訪れるのをわしの妻も望んでいる。
And so you will live that out.
ヒンメルという偉大な勇者の記憶もわしが未来に連れて行ってやろう。
Thanks for that, brother.
ありがたい話だけれどもそこまでしてもらう必要はないかな。
Nah, he
僕
does.
のパーティーにはフリーレンもアイゼンもいる。
俺は得るほど長生きせんぞ。
It don't
なら
matter. It'd be longer than
フリーレンもやるけ
them.
どね
Mm.
僕たちの記憶は彼女が未来に連れて行ってくれる。そうだろ？
別にいいけど。
And the more significance of it kind of hits her now.
じゃあ後でフリーレンに僕が編み出したイケメンポーズ集を見せないとな。
やっぱり覚えるのやめようかな。でもやっぱりイケメンポーズ集はいらなかったかな。
But you're probably happy you have it. As she
その
smiles,
勇者の顔は覚えているか？
of
当
course.
たり前でしょ。
声は
Mm-hmm.
オルジーが村を守ろうと思ったきっかけと同じで大切なことだ。
Mm-hmm.
そうか。きっかけか。でもわしは大切な何かのためにこの村を守っている。
The promise you made. Because you remember that.
オルジーは冗談がうまいね。
それはどこだ？
縁で魔王城がある場所だよ。
そうか。ついに魔王を倒しに行くのか。
Mm-hmm.
平和な時代が訪れる。
And it brings realization to her that he hasn't been joking about everything.
フォルジ
Mm.
ー、魔王はもう
Or he's just in and like uninformed, but let him keep believing that so that he continues doing what he's doing.
フォルジーの記憶も
Mm.
私が未来に連れて行ってあげ
妻の夢を見た。
Aw.
そう。
お前と昔話をしたおかげかもしれんな。
So strong likelihood. Did you remember the things you couldn't before?
旅の目的覚えているだろ？
年上の色っぽいお姉さんと旅を
No. Well, yes,
そ
but
っちも大事だが。俺の旅の目的はこっちだ。
to
10
find the
年前に
boy.
旅に出た親友と合流することだ。
そういえばそうだったね。
That'd be insane if he was still around, though. Like, he's not, but like, that'd be crazy.
10年前だろ。よく目撃情報が残っているな。
名前が特徴的だからな。インパクトが強い。
なんて名前なんだ？
戦士ゴリラだ。
Yeah. Yeah, that's very memorable.
うん。
Alright.
本名は
I don't know.
本名
本当に知
It's
ら
all
ない
you've ever known.
昔から村のみんなも戦士ゴリ
Maybe that was his real name.
ちなみに俺は僧侶あごひげ
聞いてねえよ。
顎ひげ生える前からそう呼ばれてたの。こ
Mm.
の話題続けるんですか？峡谷を越えて1週間も歩けば、いよいよ魔法都市オイサーストだね。
We made it to the
本当に
magical
長い道
city.
のりでしたね。なんで私を見るの？私は今回何も悪いことしてないよ。
インパクトがすごかったので覚えています。村の近くに出た魔物を退治してくださいました。
What a guy.
その後どこに向かったかわかるか？
どうでしたかな。ゴリラ様は高台に住んでいる頑固ばあさんと仲が良かったようなので聞いてみるとい
We
いでしょ
go
う。
there for hints.
頑固ばあさん。またすげえやつだ。
Be
わし
difficult.
は頑固者でのそう簡単に教えられん。
自分で頑固って言ってる。
どうすればいい？
You must work for me.
わし
Oh my god. We can't catch a break. We gotta do something for everybody. Nothing can ever just be easy.
お使いみたいな人助けは日常茶飯事だったよ。
Mm.
こういうのが面倒な探し物や厄介な魔物退治に発展していくんだよね。
And thus begins our long journey of stupid tasks over and over. Oh no.
エルやハイターだったら半日くらいで打ち解けているはずなのに。このパーティー不器用な人しかいません
That
ね。
is true.
うんはるか昔に世界を救ったとされる英雄様の石像だ。それ以上のことは知らん。
She gonna be in it?
名前もわからん。忘れられた英雄
I
さ
don't
ん。
know.
代
Could be
々
different
村で
people.
管理している。
忘れられた英雄か。
Hmm.
ところであんた僧侶あごひげだろ。
Hmm.
僧侶と戦士。
Oh, it's our boy. I don't remember his
なん
name.
だかザイン様とゴリラ様に似ていますね。というか戦士の方、見覚えがあるね。あ、クラフト。
Craft.
この像は
俺たちにそ
Ah.
っくりだろ。村長によると大昔の英雄だって話だ。でも誰も名
And
前
this is
すら
where
覚
they
えてない。
got.
俺たちはこうはならねえ。
Hmm.
忘れ去られるだなんてごめんだ。勇者ヒンメルみたいな忘れられない英雄になる。
Inspiration and everything is struck through this. Cool.
英雄でもいつかは忘れ去られます。きっと魔王を倒した勇者ヒンメルも例外ではない。
It's just been a lot more recent, so
もう
doesn't appear that way.
さすがに無理な。
忘れられない英雄を目指すなら名前のインパクトは大事だろ。
Hmm. We gotta take a smarter approach to it. I respect it.
ではあなたは僧侶あごひげですね。
いいなそれ。
So name themselves through the statues. That's where it
あご
would.
ひげ。
Ah.
あいつは戦いしか取り柄がない。
でも名前のインパクトはバッチリだったよ。
Hmm.
ゴリラはあんたのことよく話してたよ。一緒にずっと歴史に名を残すような英雄になる。
Makes you really think back. Maybe you should have. Maybe you should have went with it.
北側諸国中部の交易都市だ。
Ah.
ここからはるか東方。オイサーストとは反対方向だね。
ああ。
Our courses collide. Do we split or will you come along?
どうしたもんかね。
Hmm. Once again, we play really heavy into the idea behind I guess, lost memories and fading memories, or people losing importance, and, stories no longer being able to be passed down as time goes on, because people care less and less about people, or other people become more important over time, and a whole bunch of things along those lines. And they play really heavy into both different stories that we tell throughout this episode, specifically with Vol and, the things regarding his wife, but also not having these other stories and things kind of be caught up to him, and being stuck in this land of peace almost, and kind of having like this dream, like can't think of the word I want to use, but this thing of his wife, essentially, while on the other side we end up having a thing where we end up finding out more about Kraft, and we end up figuring out the idea behind, why he was so into the things regarding needing like the goddess, and, following a faith and all that stuff, because of him realizing that over time people are going to be, he's already been forgotten in some sort of ways, and he needs something else to kind of keep driving him and pushing him forward. And this dream, essentially, as well, that's a constant thing throughout this episode as well. And being able to see that once again, as we figure out he's somebody who's very historic and important at this time, and absolutely nobody knows of him or his name. So it's just funny being able to reconnect and be able to see that once again, and have his statue and understand the actual importance and the things in which he's done over time. It's so cool, actually, being able to bypass this person who you have no knowledge or understanding of, and you just treat it like a normal interaction or another day. And then, of course, a couple episodes later, you figure out that they have this bigger impact probably on the world, or at least that village, over time. And now it kind of puts it a bit more into perspective, like, oh, well, that guy was kind of a big deal, and we just kind of let it bypass him. But it makes everything else that he said and he's kind of tried to teach and say along the way, for why he's kind of changed his ways or become the type of person that he has and followed along the ways that he has, it all makes a lot of sense, right? It all becomes something that gets kind of recontextualized here, and be able to look at why he's doing what he's doing, or feeling how he's feeling, because of moments like this, because of the past and the history that he's kind of gone through, and you being able to actually realize it. And it hits a lot harder once you can actually like put that into the full picture, which is pretty unique. I like starting the episode off like this with the thing with Sign, and have him just kind of like thinking back and reflecting on his journey with his friend, or the journey that he probably, maybe should have gone on, or has thought about going on, and the things that they were going to accomplish together, right? These dreams and aspirations in which they had, but instead of having that immediately followed up, have it like a distant memory and a thing like, I'm thinking of doing this, and then eventually it kind of comes to a thing that happens. But I think that that's just a pretty cool way of starting the episode, and then having that be our second story in which we kind of go into instead. These moments too, like, they gave us so many just like little Fern and Stark things like early on here too. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I love it though, and I'm so happy. This is something I went into a lot with previous episodes, was how they do like subtle little things where they're not like the focus, but they do like little background things that you can see in like these moments while we're traveling and adventuring, that can kind of bring your characters closer, or get you like feeling certain ways towards like the connections and relationships and stuff that certain ones may have together. And they do such an excellent job of kind of making those, I don't know, just a lot more impactful than usual, or just kind of usual montages in the ways that they don't like really affect or hit me like in certain ways. And when we do it in these kind of forms, they actually do, and I think they do a really excellent job at doing that. We end up finding Vol, who is very knowledgeable. I mean, off start, being able to completely take out Stark here and actually hit him with some very good knowledge, and need to be kind of on guard a lot more, not let down anything, because you never know when somebody's going to be after you. Just because FRIEREN says it's a friend of hers doesn't actually mean that, he's the same person, or that he's like somebody who would actually just be like friendly upon first meeting. You never really know, so you have to be kind of wary and on guard the entire time, which is something that, Stark has to unfortunately learn the hard way. I also just love how every single time we go somewhere, Stark is the person who has to get to like struggle the most, which is so good. We continue to have him train while FRIEREN ends up having fun, and ends up having a friend along the way that he likes to be able to speak to. And I like seeing how happy and excited that she ended up having these conversations with him. It's a big change from like early on. She didn't seem to have too much energy, especially the backstories and stuff that we get. Just seeing how far along that she's kind of come, and how different of a person that she is kind of becoming, because she's understanding how important these connections and these things are for people. Him kind of bringing up the ideas too about not being able to like actually remember or see any of these things besides this like rough outline for the most part of his wife here. But the impact that she actually had on him, that kind of dictated and like directed his entire life here, is really interesting, because while he can't remember like her perfectly or the ways in which that he kind of wishes that he did, and understanding that this is something that just naturally will happen over time. And it's another theme that plays throughout the entirety of the series, and especially this episode, of kind of these memories and these things of these people being vanished over time, but you remember these rough kind of things about them. And it's like a way of almost like immortalizing them in some sort of way, and him being able to just remember these things, or her specifically coming and calling to him in these dreams, especially after he's able to reminisce and have all these moments with FRIEREN, I think is really, really sweet and cool. But it also pushes towards, you know, him actually having a purpose or a direction in his life, and something that he feels like he can kind of strive to, which is protect this village and see out the days for her when the time of peace and everything ends up coming, which ultimately we end up having that conversation a little bit towards the back end here, where he ends up like realizing that he still hasn't actually had this time, because he doesn't know, at least, that the Demon King is even dead in this moment. And now I don't know if this whole moment in the realization that FRIEREN was having here, this is where I was a little off maybe, is he actually just unaware of this entirely, and he's just kind of blindly going into this because he's so dedicated to live out this dream that he hasn't like really been able to pick up on anything, and he doesn't really communicate with the others within the village and everything as well, that he actually even knows this stuff? Or is he actually just losing everything like he was saying before, and he's going senile and he's losing all his memory and all this stuff? Like, if that's actually happening too, and he actually can't remember this moment, or that this is actually something that has occurred, and she's actually just realizing this after telling him the whole time that he's kind of just faking it. I wonder, I guess it could be either, but it doesn't really matter either way which one it is, and she kind of just lets him keep believing that and allowing him to kind of have his purpose and his stuff, where later, after reminiscing, gets to have his dream and finally actually have a little bit more of his wife kind of come and call to him, which is really, really sweet. We move forward, we adventure into our next town, in which now we are focused a little bit more on Sign and his backstory and finding his friend, exactly where he's went. I'm still strongly under the impression his friend's dead. It would only make sense. But if he's not, and he actually did become like this big hero, or maybe if he didn't become a big one, but he became somebody, or he just continued to be an adventurer along the way, that'd be pretty cool. And he just hasn't looped his way back at any point, so that nobody actually knows, you know, before word hasn't really traveled exactly of the things that he's done. But we find out Buddy's a marketing genius, being called the Guerrilla Warrior, and only doing it as a way to kind of make a lasting impact, and have people actually remember him and his name. And there's no way that you'll be able to forget somebody with a name like that, right? So that's why they come up with these nicknames and everything, which I think is such a very smart and clever thing for them to be able to do. We talked with this old lady who was apparently very close with him at some point when he was up here near the village. The montages, again, are so good. They're not like boring or just like standard. Like, they're very, very unique and fun. Especially like this is so fun, and I absolutely love it. Ultimately gets us to this. We find the statues, where we end up finding the craft and the person it appears that he journeyed with, which I don't think we've had any mention or any knowledge of who exactly it was, but it appears it was probably a priest at some point. Resemblance very similar to our other two, especially when they were younger here. So I'm assuming one of them's long gone, while Kraft lives on and is kind of just on his lonesome for the entirety of this journey, which is pretty cool though, being able to put everything that we know about him from where he's at presently versus, you know, the things and these things that are kind of being passed down about him from the past, and actually see the significance and importance that possibly came from him. I'd be very interested to go to more towns and learn more about him along the way before we end up kind of meeting back up with him at some other point, and then maybe getting some knowledge about what exactly happened to the other guy along the way too. And also if their connection, like their story between the two of them, is very similar in a way to the story that we have with Sign and his friend, I actually wonder as well. But I think that that's pretty cool, and him kind of just being able to understand, you know, the dream that kind of came along the way about the two of them having such impactful names and being able to be lasted on for generations in a way, right? And nobody will be able to forget them, and how they were going to be able to become something. Of course, it's going to make him reflect back and think about how ambitious it kind of was for his friend to want to go out of his way and actually venture out and go on this adventure, while he ended up staying behind, which is a bit upsetting. But he becomes at a point where this is a big turning point for him, right? He now has the decision. We have some sort of knowledge of where he went afterwards and retracing his steps. Now, we might not be able to find him, or you might be able to find something that you don't really want to know, but we went on this journey for a specific reason, and it's the complete opposite direction in which we're going. So what exactly is Cyan gonna do? I'd be led to believe there's two ways that we can go. It's not just to depart and never see each other again. So it's gonna be one of two things probably. The one, he just comes with us and along the way we detour and we end up going to do this stuff for him. Or two, we separate for now, but we have promise in which we'll end up meeting back up very shortly. Maybe there's a point that we can go opposite directions and then collide at some other point afterwards, and we end up meeting at some point like that. I'm assuming it's going to be one of those two, and that would make the most sense. And I don't think it would make enough sense to kind of just introduce him and then write him off immediately. But we'll get that decision next episode. I think this is a really cool one and a really, really fun one for everything that they kind of presented here. And I think it does a nice job at kind of separating a big decision that's going to transition us into probably what's to come next, and actually making things feel like they have a little bit higher stakes, and leaving us on something like that as opposed to perfectly having a journey in a way kind of end here. And I'm very excited to see where we end up coming. We're on break next week, but we'll end up being back for the next one. I finally was able to catch back up on this, so hopefully we'll be able to be here for every probably day after the episode airs, going forward until the remainder of the series. That would be the dream and the hope for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it all, the like and subscribe do mean a lot to me. Feel free to leave any comments about this episode or this series. I'll be back in a couple weeks for episode 17. You guys have a good one. Peace.